Examining wrestling stories and matches through the eyes of game plans, adjustments, intangibles, and analytics. This is the series. Previously on the series, CM Punk was back on top of the mountain, defeating Jon Moxley at AEW All Out to regain the AEW World Championship. CM Punk overcame a foot injury heading into the match, an arm injury suffered during the match, mental blockage, and Jon Moxley to become the AEW World Champion once again. What should have been a celebration into the Chicago night quickly turned into his own personal hell. Fresh off a 3-month absence, MJF revealed himself as the Joker to close AEW All Out. MJF had left the company on the June 1st episode of AEW Dynamite, where he begged Tony Khan to fire him after calling him a fucking mark. The promo ended with him leaving the arena as Punk came out to attempt to reason with him. For 3 months, no one had heard from MJF, and no comments were issued. But in Punk's hometown, MJF received a hero's welcome when he signaled that he would be the next challenger for Punk's newly won championship. Punk and MJF were no strangers to each other with a 1-1 record in 2022. A rubber match to close the year seemed fitting, but something about MJF returning as Punk tried to celebrate 8 at the champion. Instead of basking in the afterglow of his second AEW championship, Punk entered the post-match press conference with a chip on his shoulder. It wasn't an unfamiliar feeling for Punk, who has always felt he deserved more than he's gotten. Punk aired his grievances with his former friend turned bitter enemy Colt Cabana, a man who wasn't even close to title contention. The comments stemmed from Punk believing others in the company were going behind his back in regards to him holding Cabana off television and his legal history with Colt, who shares a bank account with his mother. As the new champion, Cabana shouldn't have been on Punk's radar, but when you're on top, the only place to swing is down. Punk took aim at Hangman Page, the man he defeated to win his first AEW World title. His attention on Page cost him in his first bout against Moxley. It was obvious that his focus wasn't where it needed to be. With the second Moxley match behind him, Punk circled back to the empty-headed dumbfuck who could easily find himself in title contention once again after a handful of victories. Punk blasted Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, the newly crowned Trios champions, who are occupied in another division but could easily find themselves in title contention given their overall popularity. Omega was a former world champion, and fans salivated at the thought of Punk testing himself against the self-proclaimed best bout machine. Matt and Nick Jackson were known for their tag expertise, but could manage themselves in singles competition better than they could manage a target. Punk also addressed MJF, a child in the world of Punk, likely due to his holdout thread and subsequent raise and now the title match that came with it. Instead of reflecting on his journey back to the title, discussing how he overcame injuries and Jon Moxley, thanking Ace Steel and his coaching staff, Punk let out pent-up anger and aggression that led many to wonder if he was capable of carrying the company as champion. Wrestling is conflict. Words and stories help build anticipation to seeing competitors battle to see who is the best. It's no different than any other sport, where post-game soundbites, tweets, in-game trash talk, and the last game fuel what's next between the two teams. Punk could have been doing just that, building towards big matches with the aforementioned parties, but a locker room challenge to close his press conference led to things taking a turn. Real-life fights that aren't part of the spirit of competition aren't uncommon in sports. There's a fight nearly every week during NFL training camps. Players have fought fans in the arena. Teammates have punched out each other during practice. An altercation occurred between Punk, Ace Steel, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks after AEW All Out that left all parties suspended. Punk went against 3 authority figures with his comments. Coming off his AEW World title win, he felt untouchable during the press conference. He not only proven himself as the best wrestler in the world, he proven himself to be a valuable asset to the company as a box office draw. He pitted himself against the core of AEW and forced a decision to be made. Actions are forgivable in sports. Players can mend fences after fights, stars generally get more leeway with comments, second chances are passed out like candy if there's value, whether through talent or appeal, to be capitalized on. As of now, Punk has not been forgiven. It is unknown if he will return to AEW. A torn pectoral muscle suffered in the Jon Moxley bout was going to sideline him for months and likely force him to step away from another AEW World title reign before it got started. His comments and actions following AEW All Out only made the decision to keep him away from the company easier. For 1 year, CM Punk was the talk of the wrestling world. After years of fans chanting his name in arenas, he made his return to professional wrestling to remind fans who he was. Outside of the ring, he was a captivating personality that forced you to have an opinion on him, good or bad. In the ring, he was one of the smartest wrestlers to ever lace up a pair of boots, overcoming his athletic disadvantages with technical ability and crafty maneuvering. During his 1-year run, CM Punk defeated some of the top talent AEW had to offer and brought the company to new heights financially, proving that he is the best in the world.